Hello, Fun Nation. My name is James, checking in here with team number 33, the Killer Bees, at the First of Michigan District Championship. This robot is nothing short of beautiful. Inside and out, it's an engineering marvel. Winners of 2 district events already. Killer Bees have a ton to be proud of, and we have a ton to learn here on Behind the Bumpers. I have Mary, Rose, Daniel, Ethan, Declan, and Sean. Let's find out more here on Fun. All right, Sean, take me through the end effector and what makes Killer Bees be able to score so well with this robot.
All right, so, well, first to start off, on our poster over here, our old end effector was made out of polycarb, but because we had weight issues on our second comp, we replaced it with self-reinforced SRPP, which has a little bit of carbon fiber on the outside to make it even stronger. So our end effector, our greatest strong point on our end effector is our ability to, can we have an algae? Our ability to not only take algae off the reef, if that reef is here, we can take algae off the reef and immediately score a coral 1 level right below where we took the algae off from, which makes us really, really strong. Not only that, we also recently added a ground coral pickup so we could solve our L1 scoring problems, so we could get a guaranteed RP every single time we get out there.
Really interesting. Can you talk me through some of the iteration of that? So you mentioned how you changed it a little bit. What did that design process look like for the Killer Bees?
We always wanted to know that we needed to get the RP by ourselves because co-op on our first 2 events was very unpredictable, which ended up with us getting 5 RP more often than we got 6. So we had a feeling that we needed a coral intake for ground. In our early design phase, we did have an idea about putting something that could take it off the ground, for the coral off the ground, and put it in L1 in the trough. We were going to originally have it in the back. It wasn't an idea that I think I came up with, but we was just cast aside as like something that would be nice if we had enough weight. Now that it actually became a feasible idea, we just put it on top of the algae, or the algae solution, that we could take it off the ground and put it on the coral so we could get an RP. We did prototype it a few times. The straps were new. We originally just had a bit of surgical tubing on here, but we found the straps to be a lot better.
Super interesting. Thank you, Sean. Daniel, can you take us through a little bit more of the engineering that goes into this robot?
Yeah, sure. So this is our funnel, which it takes coral from the human player station. And in the very beginning of our season, you can see it on our poster here. It was pretty ugly and clear, and we changed it to this because we felt that this active funneling mechanism would be a little bit faster. So in the beginning of our season, we had no active stuff, since we made a little trade-off for weight reasons to make just a completely passive funnel. But as our season progressed, we found we had a lot of ideas on how to save a little bit of weight here, a little bit of weight there, and eventually we saved enough weight so that we could have these star wheels here and all the motors and shafts and everything that come with that, so that we would have an active intaking action, which improves our intaking from the HP station a lot, so that's a lot smoother, a lot faster, and it doesn't get stuck and jam as much.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Moving over to Mary Rose, can you tell us a little bit about the elevator, the climb, the lean that makes this robot so iconic?
So, yeah, our climb is very unique. To make our climber work, we tilt our entire elevator. I actually have this example here. So what we do is we have these cam cleats in here, and we have a servo that releases them, which releases a string. And then our whole our whole elevator falls over, which releases our elevator. So we have these gas shocks here that make the elevator tilt. And then we have, so here, these are some of our climber prototypes. We went through various processes. Like, this was like one of our first ideas. It just hooks onto one side of the cage, but we thought that this is difficult to align to the cage. And then, the cage tilts a lot if you're only holding one side. So then we had this one, which is a harpoon. So you just flick through, and then it holds both sides, and it's good at pulling the cage. But the problem we found was that it tilts a lot, and so it's easy for it to slide out of the cage. So we came to this design, which still has the harpoon mechanism, but we have these what we call wings to help guide into the cage. So even if it's not like perfectly aligned, it'll still slide in like that, and it also makes it so it won't tilt. It's like no matter what we do. So like on our actual robot, you can kind of see it here. These are the wings on our robot. we have the harpoon mechanism in there. So when it flips out, these wings guide the cage into the harpoon mechanism, and then it pulls the cage into our robot so that the chain is centered on our robot. So then we can then, climb. Sorry.
Incredible, Marios, right? Can we actually see what this lean looks like for the Killer Bees?
Yeah, sure.
We go to L3.
Okay.
Large.
I'm gonna climb. Climb mode.
Ethan, can you talk me through some of the programming on this robot? What makes this robot so well controlled and so effective on the field?
So yeah, I'm really happy with all the work our team has put into the electrical and software robustness this year, the robot. So I really like our vision system. So we have 2 limelights on the front of our robot, which are actually kind of blocked right by the elevator here. We have 2 limelights, which we use for pose based off of the reef faces. And then we have auto-aligned sequencing commands that allow us to drive towards the reef face, hit a button on our controller, and automatically align to to the specific branch that we want to score on. So I think that's one of the biggest. It's a game changer on the field. I really like our LED status indicators. That's something I personally helped develop. So those indicate the state of the robot to the drivers, like if we're at a certain height, if we're ready to score, if we're climbed. You might have seen it, but we have something called party mode, which we like to do year after year after. So once we're up in the air, once we're climbed, we have a rainbow animation play. And we have our CAN networks are also quite robust on this robot. We have 2 networks. We have one on the Rio bus and one using the Canivore. Everything on the drivetrain and the elevator encoders are on the Canivore bus, and they're isolated from everything on the end effector and climber. Those are on the Rio bus, so that way, in case we lose the Rio bus and all the stuff that's on the leading edge of the robot, we won't lose the ability to drive or play defense.
Very smart control. Well, Killer Bees, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. There's so much to learn from your team, so thank you for taking the time on Behind the Bumpers. My name is James for Fun Robotics Network. Thank you for watching.